All right, and good weekend again to all of you. Thanks for tuning in here. This is Wes with Pikes Peak Trades and giving you my weekend video for market analysis that ended May 7th, 2021. I think we saw an important week. We saw a sell off early in the week. We saw support hold. We saw buyers step in Thursday and follow through Friday. And I think the stage is set here for continuation upwards. So I'm going to take you through the charts that I usually do, the weeklies, the dailies, the short terms. I'm also going to take you through some other technical things that I'm watching that I think are really important things that I think are important for us to be able to decipher. Will this trend continue versus are we seeing topping patterns? And let's just start here with the SPX weekly. So you're going to notice what looks to be a bullish hammer candle here. I think we put in this degree 4 low on Tuesday. There is no divergence here on the weekly RSI 9 or the MACD, which is something that I like to see the divergence happening if we have confidence that we can make a projection that we might be seeing topping patterns. So this here is showing, I think, continuation up into the 4300s. That doesn't mean we're going to go straight there. When I show you the shorter term charts, I think we still have to fight through a series of degree 4 pullbacks. So in this fifth wave of that wave 3, it could be explosive, it could be extended, it also could be a little choppier. We also know that these wave 5s can be ending diagonal, so with some overlapping waves. So we do have to be ready here for a variety of things, but I do still think the trend is strongly up. I'm looking for mid-July. I think the mid-July to end of July timeframe for a significant top, I think right now seems likely to me. You're going to see on a couple charts the possibility, if we get a really surprising move, that this could go all the way into quarter 4. Let me now jump into some of those technicals that I'm talking about. So I want to show you the NYMO, the VIX, and the SPX with its Bollinger Bands. Here is the NYMO, and on Friday we cleared what I think is a very important plus 20 level on this momentum indicator. It cleared the previous all-time high levels in late April, and we just want to see that extend. So this is a measure of market momentum that is essentially correlating the movements of stocks sectors wide, across sectors. So we've seen the Dow, we've seen XLF, we've seen the SPX at all-time highs. Some bears out there might say, well, we still got a fractured market because IWM and QQQ are not. I look at that as not a negative. I just look at IWM and QQQ having room to run. If we're still seeing market strength, there's no noticeable divergences on either the XPS, the XLF, or the Dow. I think it's just a matter of time before the others follow through. We do see a cohesive market movement. And then at that point, moving into the summer, I think we can start talking about looking for divergent tops. Let me show you something that I like to see on the VIX. So on the VIX, so on Tuesday, the VIX closed outside of its upper BB. On Wednesday, it closed back inside. On Thursday, it closed lower. That 3-step setup to me, I think, is a powerful buying opportunity. And then on Friday, the VIX just got crushed. So I think we did see something significant happen in terms of a market establishing support. I think it was extremely significant, the levels that were held in QQQ and IWM. I'm also going to talk a little bit more about some of the growth stocks. I'm going to bring in ARKK this time because I think it could have also set a very significant bottom. Now, I told you that I don't think things are going to go straight up. Take a look at the SPX BB. It closed outside of its upper BB, and this is rare. You have to go back to early April, then you have to go all the way back into early December, right in here. Sorry, this is early January. In order for you to see the last couple instances, I think that does mean we're probably going to see some early week weakness. I'm not necessarily saying I think Monday's going to be a down day. I think these two candles here, like we saw in early January, could play out. I think we could see a move up, Monday that gets sold, then with some basing during the middle of the week. Okay, so I'm going to offer that as kind of my early to midweek projection here, and I think you're going to see that it's going to coincide well across different indices, ETFs, and individual stocks. This is the NYAD, and I have been talking about this for a long, long time. There is no divergence in place on the NYAD. So this is the New York Stock Exchange cumulative advanced decline issues. It's at all-time highs. Now, it's also outside of its upper BB, but I do want to point out that there are numerous instances of multi-day periods where that occurs. So this is the middle of March. This is the early part of Feb. And so it also wouldn't surprise me to see some strong continuation early in the week before we see a pullback. Okay, so let me get back now into these charts. We've seen the SPX on the weekly. Let's now dig into the daily. Sorry, we get into the daily here. And what I think was said on Tuesday was this is a sub-degree wave 4 low. It hit the 23% fib nearly to the penny. And then we saw a breakout over this channel resistance, that had been watching price move up here through the middle part of April into new all-time highs. Now, there is daily divergence, but if we're looking to talk about a longer-term pullback, you need to see it on the bigger-term time frames. And we're not seeing that on the weekly. So I do think that 4,300 even up to 4,400 are within sight here over the next month. Okay, if I take you into the futures, so I want to get you into the ES daily. Okay, so on the ES daily, I'm charting obviously the same wave progression, and I would give you these targets again here. So 43 to 4,400, I think over the next month is going to be possible. And then looking out, here is that July topping time frame. Okay, so if I was to give you the possibilities of topping time frames, I think we could set a significant top right into here. That could be the end of May, early June. I think the next target would then be mid to late July, and then that very, very bullish target would then carry into Q4. In order of probability, I think it's this one in July, followed by this one over the course of the next few weeks. And I actually do think the most bullish possibility right now is the least probable. Okay, so taking you here into the ES, and I think this is traced out beautifully, impulsively since Tuesday's low. So, this is Tuesday's low. Here's the move up Wednesday to Thursday. You had two dip buying opportunities here. 1, 2, 3. I think a flagging 4. Now it's a shallow 4, which means it could fill back a little bit in Sunday futures, maybe spilling into Monday. But I do think at some point early in the week, I can't say it's Monday open, but at some point early in the week, I do think we see ES into the mid 4,200s. But you're going to notice that I've extended these fibs all the way up towards 43. So it is possible that we see an extension of this fifth that challenges some of these trend lines. So I don't want to limit the possibility of extension. I do think at some point early in the week it's likely we see a continuation of the move. And then, as I indicated, if we continue to see the SPX outside of its upper BB, I think we do see a pullback. So I'm going to be looking to take profits into this area. And just so you know, a philosophy and a general practice of mine is I will never short wave fours. Wave fours are typically tricky and sometimes nasty to trade. They could be sharp, they could be quick, they could be triangles, they could be flats. I think it would be silly if you're following my primary account to try to get cute and try to short a wave 4. And also, anyone that's tried to short the SPX by shorting SPY has not profited. Yes, we've seen growth stocks and we've seen small cap stocks pull back and in some cases get hammered. But if your hedges have been SPY, you haven't made money. Okay, so there's no way that I'm going to consider, number one, a wave 4 short, and number two, an SPY short. Why would you short the strongest index here? Same would be true of financials. Okay, so here we see the pullback, and then I think we see the possibility of this run up here, and there it is into the 4300s. Okay, and this is probably too quick. I have that happening by the middle part of May. That probably needs to be extended out a little bit. If we look at the SPX, we're going to see just a beautiful impulse move. So here's your Tuesday low. Here's that wave one up Wednesday, Thursday's low. Here's your other dip buying opportunity right at that pivot that I've been talking about and tweeting about for days and days, that 4165 to 4175 pivot back test, and then boom, a rocket shot. Here, I like this as a potential flagging 4 with continuation up. So early into the week, I think we could see the SPX possibly even challenge us high up to 4265, 4270, a pullback. And then here's that first potential topping area that I'm talking about. And this actually would match up well. I think I'd misstated the degree. That this area right here would match up with what I have in SPX before a more significant wave 4, and then that run that could push all the way out potentially into late June, into July. Okay, so let's keep moving here through these weeklies. And we get to the Qs, and I think the Qs put in a significant hammer candle. Notice for the week, it tagged the 21 week. The green is the 13 week, and then it closed above the 8. So you simply can't get bearish until you see these weekly candles start to close below support. So we still have the MA stacked in a bullish direction. I like the look of that potential hammer, and I do see the Qs along with IWM getting back to all-time highs. Here you see my projection for that mid to late July topping area, and I'm looking at that as my primary count. This is the very, very bullish count. Now obviously we're going to judge that if we see this move by the depth of the pullback. So if we get this move in Qs and it pulls back in a shallow way and then resumes upward, I got to give this purple count, and then I think we're probably moving all the way up through quarter 4. But I think that's low probability. I like this July topping area like I showed you in SPX. So let's get into the daily here on the Qs. And what I see is significant resistance ahead at the previous all-time high. So I think after Tuesday's low here, I think that this could be a topping 1-2, and then we get a big run. Okay, and it is these wave 3s that you really want to be on board for. So if you've been hesitant about this rally, and we see a move up early in the week that's rejected here near the all-time highs, but it pulls back to this MA cluster and then moves up, this is your chance to get on. Okay, so that's going to be my bullish thesis as I would hope to see it play out here over the next couple months. Let me also show you here the Nasdaq futures. Okay, so you're going to see that potential first minute degree topping area. There's significant rail resistance. Let me try to put that so you can see where that's coming from. There we go. Significant rail resistance, 1, 2, 3, already 4 touches. Now, we could just gap and jump right through it. I don't think we will. I think we'll see that tagged, then see the pullback, and then here's that strong run that I think could happen through the end of May, through the early part of June. And then here again, this is that July topping area. I think a topping area for the Nasdaq would be somewhere between 16 to 17,000. So getting into here the short term, again, it looks great. So Tuesday's low, 1-2. Here is your dip buy opportunity Thursday. Moving back and battling up against resistance on Friday. This is why I keep lines on my chart. So this was a double resistance area. It did not surprise me at all that after the opening move up on QQQ, we actually flagged the rest of the day. I think the wave 4 is likely in. You're going to see that when I show you QQQ here in a few seconds. And I think the possibility of a big move up early in the week is there. A move to the extent that I think we could start to see tech outperform, that we could start seeing a recovery here in our growth stock names. And I would be looking for that upper 13.9s, 14,000 as a topping area early in the week before a pullback. Okay, and then we're looking for this to match what I had just previously shown you on ES. So they're in different degrees, but they're in different counts. The magnitude of this pullback in the Qs demanded a higher degree. So I do see us in different counts, but yet the progression of those counts is all in sync. And I think it has to be. I sometimes wonder a little bit when I see projections out there that have different indices or ETFs showing incompatible progressions. I think if you want to be conveying a trend, then things need to match. And so what I'm presenting you here, I think, is the best matching case for the bullish scenario. Now, as always, I always show you an alternate. The alternate would be because this wave one low price at 13,819.75 didn't break on Friday, this could be a wave four and we could see a tumble. Okay, so that would just mean that the SPX doesn't have, well, for SPX, the much stronger index, probably just means we're just going to see this four lower. Okay, and then correspondingly, we would see actually probably fresh lows on the Qs. Okay, but you know, again, I think that's very low probability. I really do. I think continuation upwards is now the path of least resistance. So on Qs, talked about, here's that Friday gap up and stall. And so then I just think it put in a very typical wave four. So I like that action. And then if I got down into the tiny degrees, I think we just saw a 1-2. So the weakness end of day, I actually like to see that weakness. You know, I think everyone was expecting the big ramp. We didn't see it. I kind of like that pullback into the close. I think it could be ready for a strong move early in the week. And again, you're going to see everything lines up with what I've just shown you here on Nasdaq and also on SPX. So let's keep rolling through some of the others here on the weeklies. Since we just talked about tech, let's take a look at some of the tech big boys. So we've got Apple. Apple had a breakdown this week. You know, after I had pointed out Apple and Microsoft with these weekly bullish bearish engulfing candles. I told you that in last weekend's video, and it broke down. So you got to respect that. Now, I wasn't anticipating it would break down for much more than a week, which is what I had also said, and we saw that early in the week. But look, this is a bullish hammer. Tag the 21-week EMA. It's right back above the 8, right back above the 130 pivot. I think it's imperative that Apple sets new all-time highs. I do think it will. So I show you what that's going to look like on the daily. I did have to give it a count change. Because of the depth of the pullback in Apple on Tuesday, I had to upgrade it to a 1-2-1-2. And that does mean my fib extensions are a little bit conservative. Okay, so I think what you see here on the daily, those fib extensions for Apple to the upper 140s, 150s is matching that. I don't think Apple reaches $200. I don't think it does. I think 160s, 170s is probably going to be the topping area in Apple. And again, that's really what I like here. I like a rail hit. So that rejected price in late August 2020, I think we hit that again at some point mid-late July, early August. And then I think we see a significant pullback. Okay, Microsoft. I had said this one as well. This is the circle that I had left from last week's video. All of these other instances of bearish engulfing weekly candles, and we got the sell down, but we got the recovery. Very, very similar candle to Apple. 13-week EMA touch, bounce, close above, and I've got Microsoft in an ending diagonal. All of these moves since the September low are three wave, 1, 2, 3, to this 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and this is the 1, 2, 3. You don't count it as a 1, 2, 3. An ending diagonal would be a series of ABCs. That's why you see an ABC. And so I do think here we're now ready for the final run here in Microsoft. Notice that this 0.786 fib, that actually is a fairly conservative fib. So a name like Microsoft could really get going. And it could also move up and tag its upper channel line, which would be about 290. That actually would not surprise me here. And that would actually have a pretty good look on this weekly chart. Okay, let's see. Did I get in the short term? I think I did there on Apple. Daily, short term, we're looking for the bull flag breakout. So I think it's possible that this could happen with a gap up. So a gap up early in the week to get that breakout, and then that's going to set the run that's going to progress it, I think, on its summer run. Now we're ready for Microsoft here on the daily. And I was actually expecting that resistance right here. So right at the 253, it did tag 254. It pulled back, but notice it closed above its 8 and 21s. Okay, so that's what you want. You want trending moves where the price is progressively above these EMAs. Now, what needs to happen is we've got to get the 8 EMA back above the 21. So that's what needs to happen in order for this progression through the summer to take place. And what I think could do it, the best way that I know that I've seen to beat resistance is to gap up. So take a look. Here is a similar look, April 7th. Look what happened April 8th. So there's that gap up that beat it. And I think it could happen again. So, I mean, this is actually kind of cool. April 7th to April 8th, the gap up. How about May 7th? And then the next trading day, it gaps up. Okay, so I would really like that here as a possibility on Microsoft, showing you that into the short term. And just so many of these short-term charts just look so good. So what do we got here? From the low, a 1, 2, 3, a flagging 4, and a 1, 2. And this just perfectly matches with Qs. I mean, why would you expect it to be quite so different? Microsoft and Apple make up like 20% of QQQ. So I could see a big gapping up move. Eventually, there's going to be significant pivot resistance near the all-time highs around 260. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's see if we can get this flagging action to break out. Okay, do want to show you Tesla on the weekly. And this is one here that I think is just super interesting. And what I want to show you circled, highlighted with these ellipses, is look at this basing action from September all the way to early November. After the low was set, 9 weeks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks, and then it was up 20%. Look at this. Look at this low. March low, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think Tesla has the potential to break out. I really, I like where Tesla's at. Let me get this volume back on here. So we've got kind of this declining volume pattern here, this sideways basing. I like how everyone seems to kind of have forgotten about Tesla. A number of people that I follow have said, yep, we're going to see Tesla in the 400s. I think the most surprising move here is that we get Tesla to 800 by the end of the week or early in 2 weeks from now. So I really like the possibility of what's happening here. I think the RSI, the Stochn, and the MACD are set up for a jump upwards. Let's see. This is one that obviously with its weighting in SPX and QQQ and ARK, it's the highest weighted stock in ARK, is why I'm bullish ARK, which let me get you through the Tesla smaller time frames, and then we're immediately going to come back to ARK. So let's get into where I think Tesla's at in its wave count. I think it's a 1-2-1-2. Now, there might be some people that say, well, doesn't that look like a shooting star daily candle? No, it's not, because shooting stars happen at the top of uptrends. To me, this looks like an inverted bullish hammer. Yes, it's beneath all of its MA cluster, but you know what? All of that can be beaten with a strong move. A gapping move to 700 up and out, I think would be very surprising. I think it would catch a lot of people off guard, and I think it could trigger here a big run. So let me get into the short term on Tesla, and you're just going to see this massive, what I think is a bull flag, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits along the bottom. And if I was asked to give you here a short-term look, I think it's a subdegree 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I think it's coiled. Now, this is a bold projection, but I really do like the looks of what Tesla can do. And if it does what I think it can do, What are the implications for ARK? Okay, so Tesla, as the highest rated stock, highest held stock in ARK, I think ARKK just put in its cycle degree 4. And this is contentious and brought a lot of debate. Um, I like the tag here of this is the 50-week MA. I think this is an ABC. I think we've got divergence on the daily on Thursdays, what I think was a capitulation low. Here's 5 waves down into a wave A. I love this contracting triangle, A, B, C, D, E to a B wave triangle and that low. Now I've got the possibility, as I always do, that this C leg needs to sell off to make it look more like the length of A. But there's no rule that says that the C leg of this zigzag has to be a certain scalar factor of A. It just has to set a lower low to be a zigzag, and I think it did that. So this, again, things have to match. And if we're going to see the run that I'm talking about, we've got to see the growth darlings in ARKK get back in it. And Tesla being the biggie. And I'm going to show you a couple more, okay? ROKU being the number 2 one here. So let me now get through some other of the big tech. You know what? With the other big tech, I'm actually going to skip those because I do think that Amazon and Facebook and GOOG, I do think those are going to follow through as well. Let me just show you the one that I like the best. The one that I like the best here is GOOG. Okay, so I really like the possibility here that we got a degree 4 low. This would have actually been, on Tuesday, and then we're back up above this resistance. I think we could see Google run to 2,500. Okay, so the short-term setup here on Google, back up to here, is I think we're still within a degree 3. And these are waves that when they pull back, you want to buy. So I think we got a 1-2. I think here we're kind of at a 1, 2, 3, 4. We're looking for a push up to here. I would not be surprised early in the week to see Google at all-time highs. This would be a place to sell into. Then that pullback that I think coincides with everything else that I've just shown you, and then a strong move up here at some point into the middle to the end of May. Okay, so now continuing to talk about growth, I want to make sure that we talk about ROKU. So ROKU as another significant holding of ARK. And look at this trend touch here on ROKU. So this is why I keep so many channels on my chart. And people say, oh, it's busy to your eyes. Listen, every line on the chart has meaning. There aren't lines on there that don't serve a purpose. Now, there may eventually be some in here that I can delete that are past its trend. But this trend line here, this caught the low. Okay, and then we saw after its earnings just a massive move up that got rejected here a little bit at these MAs. But ROKU being such an important part of ARKK, I think it's also got to get going. So kind of a flagging action here. I'm not yet ready to put a degree count on this, but ROKU does need to get back and get involved in order for these to be hit. And I do think ROKU is one name here, judged by its positive earnings reaction, that could actually set a new all-time high, within that weighted ARKK sector. Okay, another one I really like here that's weighted highly within ARKK is SE. So C here, C limited, I think, we got that low in March, and look, I think we got a 1-2, 1-2. These are the things that I want to buy. Okay, in fact, the setup here on C is actually like my ideal buy scenario. So we set what I thought on Friday, after it's kind of a little gap and crap here, was an entry to a typical wave 2 fib trading against a level that's an obvious stop. Okay, so to me, this type of move in a growth stock weighted within an innovation ETF that's I think important for the market to continue to move, to me was an entry that I couldn't pass up. Okay, so I could see SE also making new all-time highs. Some of these names are going to have to, if ARKK is going to follow through and the Nasdaq is going to get to 16 to 17,000. Okay, and we're almost done here. I know that this is taking me a little bit longer, but I want to show you NVIDIA, and then I want to finish with IWM. So NVIDIA here, I think set a degree 4 low, like a lot of other ETFs and indices on Thursday, and I love what it did Friday. I loved its gap up above its MA cluster. And notice that NVIDIA in this whole pullback, its 8-day EMA never crossed below its 21. I think this is bullish, and I think this could be used as a springboard for it to move back up into the sixes. So I have a 1-2-1-2. I would look at this as a 1-2-3-4, and then we're looking to finish this wave 3. And this could extend. So this could run all the way up to 620. And then I think eventually, we do see NVIDIA. I think we can see NVIDIA up in the 700s eventually by this summer. And that kind of goes along in general that I think the SMH ETF, I think things like AMD, those are going to have to recover. Okay, so let me close here with small caps, because small caps like QQQ have not set an all-time high. I think we did see a weekly hammer candle. It pierced back a previous breakout level of what I think was a nice triangle here for its intermediate 4, and its MAs are still stacked bullishly. Again, you can't get bearish until these things break down. I think it just put in a 1-2, and I am very optimistic for IWM. This also has to make sense. If I'm bullish ARKK, where a lot of those are also in IWM, then I've got to be bullish here. Okay, so I think we could see IWM off a 1-2 just start a brand new impulse up into, I think, the 240s, and eventually could even push into the 270s. And on the short term, I'm not sure. This is an interesting flagging pattern. I like that it held above the 200 period 15-minute MA. I've got it as a 1-2-3. It could drop to a more typical fib, but that also just could be sideways flagging, and we get a big pop up early in the week. Okay, so last thing, I can't skip this, is again, you can't get bearish unless financials sell off. There's no weakness here in financials. They're extremely strong. Overbought, yes, but that's a sign of strength. And what I would point out is that by the fibs, it has exceeded this 1.618 fib of the move up from March into June. And I'm wondering if it's now just going to go up to the next one. So, it's not likely that financials wouldn't keep going up. I just think we're ready for that rotation back away from industrials and financials back into growth. And I think, certainly the projections here that I would give for the Qs for IWM and ARKK, I think would match with that. So let's finish it there. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. As I've said, the Bears had a chance this week to break it down, and it didn't happen. And I don't see signs of topping here. I think other than maybe trying to play a quick scalp on a Monday open, I think it's silly to be short. I think the trend is up. And I do think pullbacks from here can still be bought. So I'll do my best to alert to you when I do think there are signs of topping, but as of now, I like what I saw during price action this week. Okay, so again, thanks for the likes, the follows, the comments, the interactions on Twitter and YouTube. Certainly enjoying doing this. And just so you would know, I am in the stages of progressing transition back stateside to the U.S. So at some point this summer, my market day activity, I'll have more eyes on. So that transition for me is going to be a little bit start and stop, but I'm looking forward to it. We're now within what we hope is about a month out. So keep you informed of anything additional that could be offered through Pikes Peak Trades. And as for now, have a great weekend. Let's look forward to another week of trading starting Monday, May 10th.